Go.
Is it going?
Yeah.
Here's my track. Alright, so this is going to be a walk around video of the semi that I've built. Basically my crawler hauler for my rock crawler. So it's a 1990 International 7100. I bought it off Craigslist for $4,000. Now I got about $7,000 into it. Total, when you talk about the tires, flatbed and everything. So it's 7100 with a DT 466 motor in it. So according to the odometer, it has 55,000 miles on it. I think it was owned by Oak Harbor Freight Lines here in Washington. I don't think they use it much other than toting some small trailers around town. But odometer supposedly says 55,000 miles. It's working, so I assume that's it. I think it has a lot of idle time on it. But so it has a 466 with an Eaton 6-speed Fuller. So it's a 6106 manual transmission. So it does not have overdrive, it just has 1-to-1. And then it goes to a rear Eaton 21K rear axle back here. 21,000 load carrying on it. So according to my calculations, that's about, the gear ratio is about 4.44 to 1. So okay, not really tall, not too low. With the stock tires on it, which were basically low pro 22.5s, it was going about, it was redlining at about 2,700 RPMs, and that was at about 68 miles an hour. So it has two 50-gallon tanks, one on each side, so 100 gallons total. The two communicate together. So so far I've been getting about 10 miles a gallon, so that's about 1,000 miles per fill up, which is pretty nice. I replaced the original tires with these 46-inch Goodyears. So they have, these are 20x10 military double beadlock rims. They're actually off of a LMTV or FMTV. And then these are off of the same truck. They got about 9,500 pounds load carrying capacity. And they surprisingly run really smooth. I balanced them inside with about 5,000 airsoft pellets a piece. So one of those tubs of airsoft pellets is about 3 pounds worth of airsoft pellets. And it rides really smooth, actually. Here's the interior. We'll go around because I locked the door. So there's the interior, if you can get a good shot of it. When I first bought it, it only had the one air seat, no passenger seat whatsoever. So I bought picked up this air seat out of a newer International from the mid-2000s. It's a 2-passenger middle seat. Fit pretty good, actually. I just had to switch the seat brackets around, and had to build that custom chain link shifter there to make that bend around the seat. Looks a little hack. I might cover it in some shrink tubing or something to get rid of the chain look, but I'll be honest, it's starting to grow on me. So up on the roof, you can see I put some roof flashing. It actually works surprisingly well to suppress vibrations and keep the cab cool when you have the direct sunlight on it. Also put a trucker fan in there. I think I added a second one for the passengers. That works good for the summers because it's a non-AC truck. Other than that, I just kind of cleaned it up, painted a few things. Still a work in progress for the interior. But installed a radio, some gauges, the usual stuff. So this is the flatbed that I built. It's made of 2x4 rectangular tubing. So the weight, I put my truck up on here so the front tires sit about right here. So right here there's a cross tube that's 188 wall. So all the load bearing stuff I put at 188 wall, and the stuff that's not load bearing I did 120 wall, just to save on weight a little bit, because this thing originally had a GVW like in the 40,000 pound range, and I declassified it down to 26,000 pounds so I don't have to get a CDL. But in there I got a big piece of 15-inch channel, and which is tied into the frame there. It's got a 30,000 pound gooseneck hitch with some chains in there. Also wired up adapter to run the electrical for a trailer. That's actually 6-pin round semi, so I also have an adapter to change it to a 7-pin RV style. This is probably the coolest thing about the truck. It has a pintle hitch that was on there already when I bought it. So the pintle hitch is about a 1-inch thick plate of steel welded to the frame and gusseted up and everything. It has an air-operated pintle hitch. So I wanted to be able to run something off the bumper, basically bumper pull, pintle hitch, gooseneck, and then eventually a 5th wheel hitch as well. So I wanted to have this dove, because my truck drives up there, my rear axle sit in the middle of this dove. I wanted it to be removable so I could use the pintle hitch. So I actually got these cage plates from DIY4by.com. It's basically built for like a roll cage kit for a Jeep or a Chevy or anything with a body. Sandwich the floor plates made out of 1/4-inch stuff. And they have an indexing hole, so basically keeps it in the same spot. So I basically built the dovetail, cut holes in it, cut a little slit in it, slid it in there, and did it 1 by 1 to make sure that it fits. But it basically has 4 bolts on each one, holding each one on, basically 6 plates, and this dovetail actually removed. So you can tell I did some LED trailer lights on the back of this dove, tied into original lights, so I'm kind of redundant with my lighting here, but this lights things up, keeps it safe. So this root removes off, and you can run pintle hitch with just the flatbed, which is pretty cool. Just used some scrap wood I had lying around that we restained. Thanks to Bree, who's holding the camera, for staining that
Anytime.
for me. But this is the little adapter I made, so right here. If you look in there, that's a semi-trailer 6-pin round, 7-pin round adapter. But obviously when you're running a normal trailer in an RV, you need the flat pins. So I got this little adapter. Plus the semi uses different circuits for the blinker and the brakes, but normal RVs and normal trailers run it on the same. So I used this little adapter to get it so I can work it with multiple trailers. And this little adapter can go here or up there for different setups of trailer. So I got these 5/8" D-rings mounted all over the place for holding down loads. I think there's like 12 total, something like that. I also welded in some tabs here on each side and built a 2-point crane that ties in. So basically it's a 2-point crane that swivels up, and it ties in with with ratchet straps to some D-rings up here. And then I have a winch and a cradle that mounts in that hitch right there, so I can basically run a snatch blocker through that, and I got a little 2-point crane for hauling axles and motors and all sorts of different stuff around the yard. But there's another shot on those. So it's got the MW Bosch pump right there. It's easily adaptable. It's obviously not a hot rod pump for high horsepower and stuff like that, but it's easily adjustable. So what I actually did is, for my boost gauge and guaranteeing that I was getting the boost, I tied in with some brass fittings. This is basically an MPT fitting going into a T fitting here, into some compression fittings, and then I got some rubberized hard line for running down to the actual pump, and then running up to the boost gauge. Gives me a little bit more reliable over reading. You just adjust it by taking off these screws here, and then you adjust it. There's a few videos on YouTube by Never Enough HP that he explains it pretty well. Has a block heater right here. You have to use it because I live in Western Washington. It doesn't get very cold, but if I move somewhere, that'll be real nice. Front axle, it's obviously air brakes, just like the rear. It's got 12,000 pound load rating, supposedly, so heavier than most 4700s and 4900s that you see. Actually just got done building this bumper. Kind of a tube bumper, so it's a little bit desynchronous with the rear being rectangular tubing, so I plated it with the same diamond plate to give it that similar look to it. Another hitch up here. Got a big winch and a cradle that I hook in there, and even though this truck's pretty heavy and big for the winch I got, I'll eventually build a bigger cradle and get a bigger winch and be able to at least pull something out with this, or maybe move this thing when it's stuck, since I take it off-road to some campsites and stuff like that. But this is all gusseted up inside with multiple tubes and stuff, so it should be strong enough to destroy an elk if I hit one. But anywho, it's the 7100 is kind of nice because it's got number one, it's a little taller, and then it's got these extra 2 slats in the grill, but it doesn't have the split radiator and intercooler. It's actually intercooler radiator, or vice versa, I don't quite remember, but it's full size, so it does a little better when you turn that pump up to try and keep things cool. Other than that, still work in progress, but pretty good tow rig for the price. Hard pressed to buy anything worth the crap in the 1-ton range for $7,000. So that's my crawler hauler.